For decades, the United States has been the backbone of allied space operations, but the way America's allies depend on that space power is beginning to change. Your roadmap to the latest in auto, welcome to Highway Herald. Canada is building its own sovereign launch capability, while Europe is investing billions to secure independent satellite communications and critical space infrastructure. These moves aren't about replacing America. They're about ensuring access to space during an increasingly uncertain geopolitical future. Stay with us as we count down the 5 biggest developments behind this transformation and why the race for space sovereignty is becoming one of the defining strategic competitions of our time. Number 5. Why independent access to space became a national priority. The push for space sovereignty did not come from one event. It grew from years of geopolitical tension that revealed how dependent many nations had become on foreign-owned satellite systems. Today, satellites support military communications, intelligence, emergency response, banking, transportation, and other critical infrastructure. The Starlink controversy during the war in Ukraine intensified that debate. In 2022, SpaceX CEO Elon Musk declined a request to extend Starlink coverage near Crimea for a planned Ukrainian naval drone operation, citing escalation concerns. Whatever people thought of that decision, governments saw the same risk. Private infrastructure can shape national security outcomes. That concern now extends to launch capability, satellite manufacturing, cybersecurity, Earth observation, and data control. For Canada and Europe, space is no longer a distant frontier. It is critical infrastructure. But recognizing the problem was only the beginning. Europe responded by strengthening control over one of the most critical parts of modern space infrastructure: secure communications. Number 4. Europe builds a more secure satellite future. Europe's response centers on secure communications, one of the most sensitive parts of the space economy. The EU is developing IRIS², a multi-orbit constellation of about 290 satellites designed to provide secure connectivity for governments, defense agencies, businesses, and citizens while reducing reliance on outside providers. IRIS² will work alongside GovSatcom, which pools satellite capacity from EU member states for secure government use. Together, they show Europe is building a communications layer it can control, not just buying service from the global market. Brussels is also proposing new rules for the future 2 GHz mobile satellite band, reserving key portions for European government, security, and commercial operators while still allowing qualified non-European firms. SpaceX and Amazon's Kuiper are not banned, but Europe wants more control over the switch. Europe is securing its communications network, but Canada is focusing on another challenge that is just as important: making sure it can launch its own satellites whenever national interests demand it. Number 3, Canada creates its own launchpad for the future. While Europe focuses on communications control, Canada is addressing another strategic weakness: launch access. Earlier in 2026, Ottawa announced a 10-year $200 million Canadian agreement supporting Spaceport Nova Scotia near Canso, giving Canada a path toward its first dedicated sovereign orbital launch capability. That matters because Canada has long built advanced satellite technology while still relying heavily on foreign launch providers to reach orbit. This creates risks around timing, cost, mission priority, and access during geopolitical tension. Spaceport Nova Scotia aims to support government, defense, scientific, and commercial payloads from Canadian soil. Canada is also backing domestic launch firms and allied resilience efforts. The goal is not to replace partners, but to ensure Canada has another option when sovereignty, security, or urgency demands it. But launching satellites is only one piece of the equation. Building an independent space ecosystem requires far more than rockets, and that's where Canada's broader strategy becomes even more interesting. Number 2, Canada's space industry accelerates beyond its borders. Canada's space strategy is now much bigger than one launch pad. Ottawa has expanded investments in satellite manufacturing, Earth observation, communications, secure ground systems, and international partnerships. Canada also committed about $664.6 million Canadian dollars to European Space Agency programs covering exploration, technology, satellite communications, and space safety. In June, momentum accelerated. The Canadian Space Agency awarded contracts to Calian, Kepler, and MDA Space to develop ground systems for Canada's next-generation sovereign Earth observation satellites, strengthening command, data processing, cybersecurity, and independence. Then Ottawa finalized a 688 million Canadian dollars contract with MDA Space for a new RadarSat replenishment satellite and upgraded ground infrastructure. Soon after, MDA Space secured work on Japan's next-generation defense communications satellite, showing Canada's industry is expanding globally. Before we reveal the biggest shift in this countdown, take a quick second to subscribe to Highway Herald and turn on notifications. We bring you sharp updates on vehicles, emerging technology, and the global forces shaping tomorrow's transportation. But Canada's rapid space expansion points to something even bigger. Alongside Europe's growing ambitions, it signals a wider shift in how allied nations compete, collaborate, and lead in space. Number 1. Space leadership is now defined by resilience. Taken together, these developments mark a major shift in the global space industry. Canada and Europe are not abandoning the United States or trying to replace SpaceX overnight. SpaceX remains essential, including for Telesat's Lightspeed deployment. But diversification now matters. A nation can value American technology while reducing dependence on one provider, launch system, or regulatory environment. Canada is expanding across launch infrastructure, Earth observation, satellite manufacturing, communications, ground control, cybersecurity, and partnerships. Europe is strengthening control through IRIS², GovSatcom, and secure spectrum rules. The new space race is no longer just about reaching orbit first. It is about operating through war, politics, market disruption, and commercial decisions. America's allies are not leaving. They are building backup options. That broader transformation brings us to the biggest takeaway from today's countdown. Verdict: space sovereignty is becoming the next competitive advantage. The biggest takeaway is not that America's allies are distancing themselves from the United States. Canada and Europe are preparing for a future where reliable access to space is essential national infrastructure. Canada's investments in launch capability, satellites, manufacturing, cybersecurity, and partnerships show a strategy built around resilience. Europe is doing the same through IRIS², GovSatcom, and tighter control over secure satellite communications. The United States and SpaceX will remain major players, but allies now want backup capabilities they can operate independently when circumstances demand it. The next era of space leadership may depend not just on reaching orbit, but on building, launching, operating, and protecting space infrastructure. Now we'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think Canada's investment in sovereign launch capability is the right long-term strategy? Will Europe continue reducing its reliance on outside satellite providers over the next decade? And how do you see these space investments influencing the future of connected vehicles, autonomous transportation, and global technology? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, be sure to subscribe to Highway Herald and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest updates on vehicles, emerging technology, and the global shifts shaping the future of transportation. Your support helps us bring you the very best automotive and technology coverage. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out one of the videos on your screen for more exciting updates.